Hi guys, morning. We're just going to go over the classical and Keynesian diagrams, okay? Because I know some of you, I know Serena mentioned she wanted me to go over it, and I think I looked at your survey, and you see, quite a few of you appear to completely understand it. But I just want to make sure that it goes beyond just drawing the diagrams. It goes beyond that, okay? So we're just going to draw the classical diagram, and then probably on another video we'll draw the Keynesian diagram because I don't want to make things too long. Okay, so let's get. I've never done this before. Hopefully it's going to work, but I always believe in trying to do things. So let's see. Let's open a page. Go to a page. Um, yes, we're here now. Okay, so I'm going to try and draw my diagram here. So let's start off with the typical classical diagram. Okay, typical classical diagram, and then show exactly. Sorry, sometimes I'm going to take my eyes off you, but it's just because I'm trying to draw on this. So we should be there. Okay. Okay, so we start off with that. As you know, the classical diagram, and both of them actually agree. Classical and Keynesian, they both agree that there is a maximum capacity for economies. Okay, so they're both in agreement. The LRS, there is a time when they can't produce any more sustainably. So we just put LRS here. Okay, LRS. So both of them agree with that. So they're both in agreement that there is a point that the economy can't keep on producing sustainably, and that's when you're going to have a vertical line. Okay, which is it shows in Keynesian as well. So at this point, you have a YFE, and hopefully you remember what YFE is. That's full employment. Okay, remember though, full employment literally means everybody looking for work or who wants work, looking for work is working. That's what it literally means. So let's show the typical scenario here and show how the classical can revert back to full employment. Okay, self-healing as they call it. They call it self-healing. Okay, so let's assume that we're in the short run scenario, SRAS. Okay, the economy is doing quite well. We're actually at full employment. AD's here, so as you can see, the outputs is actually at full employment. Okay, outputs at full employment. So everybody's employed. SRS, cutting AD. Remember, there's two equilibrium points. Remember, don't forget that. You have LRAS stroke AD, and you have SRAS stroke AD. So, okay, so that's the equilibrium points. You should all know that one. Okay, so don't forget that. So, what happens here? So we're full employment. Remember, we're in a short run scenario. Okay. Now, let's suppose there's an increase in taxation for whatever the reason is. Maybe the government wants to reduce their budget's deficit, so they decide to do an increase in tax. Okay, and that has an impact on consumption. Yeah, remember, AD is equal to C plus G plus I. Yeah, plus X minus M. So if consumption goes down, AD is also likely to fall. Okay, if consumption goes down, AD is likely to fall. So maybe a situation, like I said, they're trying to reduce their budget deficit, so they increase taxation. So as a result, AD shifts now to the left. Okay, so you have AD shifts to AD1. Okay, remember, you can see where AD is cutting LRS now, but also you can see where AD is cutting SRS. So that's the new position. So you've now gone back to Y1. Okay, therefore, all this is what you call a negative output gap. Okay, so I remember a couple of you again wrote that down. Negative output gap when your potential is less than your actual. Okay, so it's gone back to Y1. So what do companies do in this scenario? Now the companies have had what's the largest cost for firms? Okay, the largest cost for firms, because the problems they have now, consumption's gone down. Okay, so they have to try to respond because they're now producing that Y1. So what can firms do? One thing they can do is reduce their cost of production. Okay, the highest cost of production is wages. Okay, so what? And they don't want to sack workers because they've trained workers, they've got very good workers, they don't want to sack them. So what they really want to do is to maybe ask them to reduce their wages. Okay, ask them to reduce their wages. Things are difficult. Could you reduce your wages? And when the economy gets back up, we'll revert back to your normal wages. But there's a problem. You can't just reduce wages, okay? Because of three fundamental reasons. The first one is to do with minimum wages. Minimum wages. Minimum wage. Okay. Obviously, we're making quite a few assumptions here. Let me just move this picture a little bit. We're making a few assumptions here that there are a lot of people on minimum wage. Okay, so the minimum wage is also there, and also you have unemployment benefits. Because what is the point if your wages are cut, and they go under your unemployment benefit, or there's not much difference? So it's difficult to cut. Okay, and the third reason, which you should know, because I don't know whether you've done this in micro, is trade unions. Trade unions are very, very powerful. They're very powerful, and they try to bid the wages up, so they won't accept wages being cut. Okay, so these are the three reasons why they can't cut your wages. They can't come to you and say, look, we've had you for quite a long time. We want to keep you, but we want to reduce your wages into half, or by 20%, 25%. They can't do that. So unfortunately, they sack workers. Okay, so this is now unemployment. This represents unemployment because they have to sack workers because of there's less consumption. Okay, so they're now at Y1. They have to sack workers because they just can't cope. There's less consumption. Agri demand has fallen. They're now producing a Y1, so therefore they have to sack workers in order to reduce their cost, and in the hope try and get back to the YFE position. Okay, are we getting that so far? So what happens is that because they've sacked lots of workers, there's lots of workers available in the market. Okay, and according to classical, they accept lower wages because we're now in the long run in a situation. Remember, in the short run, they couldn't do anything because wages are fixed. In the short run, don't forget, short run equals fixed wages. Fixed wages. Don't forget that. Wages are fixed in the short run. Okay, in the short run, wages are fixed. But in the long run, wages become more flexible. So these are workers that they're out of work for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. They're under a lot of pressure, getting a lot of stress from their parents or whoever's giving them stress. So they agree to take much less wages. So they drop their wage demands. So suddenly these firms realize, they, wow, there's lots of people looking for work. Some of them are graduates, or they're all quite happy to accept lower wages. So as a result of that, they increase their production. So they employ more people, and therefore the SRS shifts to the right. Now, I hope you can see this one. SRS will shift to the right, and now become SRAS1. And you can see what happens here is that you revert back to LRS. You revert back to full employment. Okay, so that's how the classical economy self-heals itself. Okay, so hopefully that's you understand that. The next video will be on what do they do when the economy is bubbling over? How do they self-heal themselves when the economy is bubbling over? This is a situation where there's a recession. Okay, this is how they self-heal. So the next video will be moving on from that, and then we'll also do the Keynesian. Okay, I don't want this video to be too long, so I'll stop it now.